I wanted to do a complete video on the removal and reinstallation of the BCM body control module for a 2006 Jeep Liberty. And when I took this thing out, it was the first day of a really early November Arctic cold front that came in. Wind chill, feel like temp, whatever, was like single digits below zero, and it was dark, and I had no time to get out of camera, so I just took this thing out. I'm in a similar situation now. It's going to be getting dark really soon. I need to get this thing in. My second grandson's going to be born today or tomorrow, so I don't know if this video is going to turn out or not, but I'm going to try. There's no information on the internet other than pictures of this thing. Anybody wants to know what the BCM looks like, this box right here is connected to your fuse block. It's on the driver's side dash panel, and it's a major pain to get out, and it's probably going to be a pain to get in. These are the connectors right here where the wire harness connectors go to. Each one is different, so you cannot mistakenly put them back in the wrong position unless you really force it. Don't know how well it's showing up because it's getting dark, but this one has two little tabs on the bottom. This one has two little tabs on the top. This one has two on the top and the bottom. That way you can't put the wrong connector in the wrong location. To remove them, I think it was a 10mm bolt that stays in place. You just turn it all the way out, and then there's these tabs on each side, and that's where the problem comes in, trying to get in there to this thing, which is tucked up underneath the back of the dash panel. But you need to get a small screwdriver in there, and you need to get it in between the connector that goes in here and this tab, and push the tab away from the connector. And you do not want to do this when it's cold, because these are plastic and you can snap them. If they snap, the bolt will hold them in place and you should be fine, but this is an extra precautionary measure from the factory, which, you know, hopefully they don't break. Treat this like all other computer components. Make sure you're statically discharged. Touch something metal numerous times so there's no static buildup in you or your clothing. Do not touch any terminals anywhere. If you need to have this module replaced or rebuilt, you're going to do it yourself. Hopefully you're an experienced mechanic and have a lot of knowledge, because this is not an easy project. Once you remove this whole fuse block, you need to disconnect the PCM, these 4 Allen screws right here, or Torx bit screws, and then you got to carefully wiggle this up out of place, because there's some connectors along the side here that meet up with the fuse block. You don't want to bend any of those pins taking it out or putting it in. So once you get this out, and I'll leave a link down in the description of the place that I highly recommend to rebuild these. The one I sent out, it was too far gone. They could not rebuild it, so they had to send a remanufactured unit to me, that's fully programmed, plug and play, ready to go. I just had to reattach it to the fuse block. Now I got to get it back into the vehicle. There's no learning program learning or anything, the guy said. Just install it, start it up, and it should be ready to go. So like I said, it's getting dark. I don't know how much of this I'm going to be able to get on video. I do have a light out here, but I don't know how much that's going to help. And this goes up into such a tight spot that my head's probably going to be in the way. So I'm going to do the best I can to try and help people out with how to install and remove and install. Right now I can't see what the camera's looking at. That's another problem too, but it needs to go up in there, and it's kind of like a Rubik's Cube. It only comes out one specific very tight way, and it goes back in another specific very tight way. And then you get all these connectors. There's 3 of them and 2 little ones. I think this is for the keyless remote entry. I'm not sure what this black box here is. I don't know if this is part of the security system or if this is the remote keyless entry. It's got some wires cut on it. It still works as far as I know. Got no idea why it has some cut wires on here. But I got to get working on this. Hopefully the video turns out. I'm going to try. Okay, once you get the module back into position, and I'd say on an aggravation level, for me, scale from 1 to 10, I'd say it was pretty damn close to a 10. For others it might be a 20, for some it might be 5, I don't know. The battery's about to die on the camera, it's dark. Once you get this in, there's 4 screws that hold it in, 4 Phillips screws. They're also 9/32. You can use a wrench or a small socket. I highly recommend you put this one in first. Either one. These 2 right here. I recommend putting those in first to hold it in position. Then there's another screw that goes in way back here. And it doesn't look like the camera is getting in there to see it very good. There's another Phillips, same screw back there. And then there's another one. I apologize for this crap video. It's cold, it's dark, I'm trying to hurry up and get this done. I shouldn't even be making this video, but there's no information. I'm doing this to help others out. I don't know if you can see this right here. There's another screw. This one I highly recommend. Once you get the module into place, just back it out a little bit, push in on this panel here, and get that started. Because if you drop it down in here, then this whole plastic kick wall has to come out, and then your aggravation level on a scale from 1 to 10 might be 100. Alright, now it's time to go around to the back here and start connecting wire harnesses. Once you get the wire harness connectors back in position, you go one at a time. Push them in. They don't snap into place. They won't snap in until you tighten down the little 10mm bolt. But thread those in by hand, and then pull back to make sure that it's threaded in. Get that as tight as you can by hand, that way you're not sticking the thread when you put the wrench or ratchet on it. And then just tighten it up so that it's snug. You gotta be careful you don't over tighten. This is going into looks like a brass, some type of metal threaded sleeve that's pressed into plastic. So if you over tighten this, you can crack that plastic and break it. Or you can even pull out that sleeve that it's threading into. So you just want to get it snug. I should have got it on camera when I put the 2 smaller harness connectors in back here, but you can't put those in the wrong position either. One's a little bit longer Then the other one, I think the short one went on the bottom and the long one went on the top. Okay, so all the wire harnesses are connected. And this ain't gonna work. I can't hold the camera and the light at the same time, but then whatever this black box is that you can't see because it's too damn dark, whatever this is, I'm not sure if that's part of the alarm system or if it's the remote keyless entry, but I'd really like to know why some of these wires are cut on here too. Bought this thing used. It's 2006 Jeep Liberty. Anybody that owns one of these factory defective junkyard pieces of crap and you work on it yourself, I'm sure you got plenty of horror stories and you can relate to this. If you take it into a dealer, I heard it costs $400 to replace this module, and I think that's for labor only, because it cost $499 for me to buy this module, and that luckily, very luckily, that included the programming. So supposedly I won't have to tow this into a dealer or a shop and have it programmed. It's supposed to be plug and play. You just put it in, start it up, and go. So we'll find out here hopefully pretty soon. Usually I'd never do anything like this. These wires should be taped and protected, which I'm going to come back and do that later. I really need to get this thing going for right now. And when you put any of these harnesses back into place, make sure that they don't come into contact with your clutch or brake pedal or anything else underneath here. Make sure you have plenty of clearance if you have to. Use some zip ties or something to keep everything away so it don't come into contact with something that's not supposed to. I just noticed something, that there's a lot of extremely poorly rigged wiring here and splicing. One of the wire harnesses going to the body control module is all hacked up and spliced together. Looks like there's a diode spliced in something there that's not properly covered with tape that I got to come back in and redo. There's another disaster here. It's all taped together. I bought this 2 years ago. It had 112,000 miles on it. And I've got thousands of dollars into this junkyard piece of crap, and it's not even paid off yet. So evidently it's had a major electrical issue at one time, and it was taken in somewhere that might have resolved the problem. I got no idea of this history, but the wiring, they did an extremely poor job on it. And this is probably very common with Mopars in general, but especially Jeeps. Ever since Daimler merged with Chrysler, they destroyed Chrysler, and now Fiat merged, and these things are all getting a heck of a lot worse, but that's a whole different story. So now I've already went through everything. Everything looks okay. I'm really disappointed in this rigged up wiring here, but now it's time to go out and reconnect the battery and see if this thing starts. And make sure you watch the end of this video before you do any of these procedures. To remove this module, just go in reverse of what I showed you. But before you do any of this, I'm going to leave editing notes, whatever, at the end of this video. And one of those is, make sure you disconnect the battery 3 hours prior to doing any of this stuff. Obviously the battery is disconnected during this whole process. You leave it disconnected once you remove any computer. But before I removed this BCM module, I disconnected the battery and I let everything, capacitors and everything, discharge for 3 hours. You gotta be extremely careful working in this area, doing anything with a dash, because there's airbags that could pop. And I gotta go through all this wiring to make sure everything's safe and it's not gonna kill somebody when they're driving it. Alright, I'm cutting the video here. I'm gonna go hook up the battery, which everybody should know how to do. Then I'm gonna come back in and see if this thing will start up and run. Well, the mileage appears to be correct. Okay, so you want to make sure everything's turned off before you start it up. Okay, here it goes. See what happens. Okay, that noise that you just heard, that was the CD disc changer behind the dash for the stock radio. Whenever you disconnect the battery and reconnect it, then turn the key on, it does that. So here we go at the startup. Hopefully it works. Okay, I'm gonna let it run up for a couple minutes. Warm up for a couple minutes, and then take it for a test drive.
What you want?